Hey, September the 29th, George Webb reporting in Mount Prospect, Illinois. Here I am back in Mount Prospect, Illinois, the home of the famous Cypov trucker companies, two of them, one on Bussy Road, one on Gulf Road. But what I want to talk about tonight is Mark Levin, very emotional kind of defense of the president, saying, hey, you should know who you should face your accusers, especially if they're CIA agents, especially if they're CIA spies, especially if they're CIA spies put in the White House, especially if they're CIA spies put in the White House without your knowledge. Thanks, Mike Pompeo. And I don't wish any ill on Brecht Bull. I don't wish any ill on Brecht Bull. Please don't. No ill will. I realize there's a lot of emotion with the CIA spy being put into the White House without your knowledge. And I understand how mad that makes people feel and how disenfranchised that makes people feel. But I want no ill will towards Sue Gordon, who is sort of the compiler of all this information from all these runners. And I don't hold anything against the runners. Ezra Watnick is the same way. What I want to say is the only way to win is through digging. The only way to win is through going out and knocking on the doors and getting the Blackberries and identifying people on the Biden staff, like I did with Gauntner and I did with Deep Blackberry. And there's another Gauntner out there. There's Watnick now, who was an intern. If the American people see that the military-industrial complex or the CIA was using Biden and using the secret server to run covert operations out of the White House, they'll say, hey, that's not in the Constitution. You're supposed to go to the Gang of Eight. You're supposed to go to the president for covert actions. It's a covert action server. It seems like you had your CIA spies running the covert action server, again under the color of law. Again under the color of law. Not by the president, but by the vice president. And I try to produce a lot of information and say these names are going to be important. Dmitry Firtash is one. Got the guy flirting with the ashes by the pipeline in Ukraine is your mnemonic there. And now we see that these different documents are coming out with John Solomon putting it out, what the actual prosecutor was doing, what Shokin was doing, or Shokin, who was the attorney general. And he is saying Dmitry Firtash is the key go-between to Biden. Firtash, Biden. Somebody just scan in all those documents that John Solomon put out from Shokin and just count the number of Firtashes. Count the number of Bidens. Do the same thing with all my videos, and you'll find that it's over 300 mentions. I think it's over 500 mentions of Dmitry Firtash. Someone was making a mention about Dmitry Alperovich. Jack Versobic mentioned Dmitry Alperovich, and Peter Duke and a couple other people said, you know, I think George has over 1,000 mentions on Dmitry Alperovich. This is the key, and you have to support the people that are risking their lives. That's the bottom line. Is you have to promote and support them and retweet them and send it to the president and send it to Dan Scavino and people that are around the president and say, hey, you could subpoena these fact witnesses today. You can invite these people to the White House today. You could invite Taggart to the White House today. You can invite Tegwa to the White House today. You could invite the 4 whistleblowers in Luke's book to the White House today. And they could tell you all about Nancy Pelosi's spy ring in Congress, which was the Awans. I have a fact witness that was there almost 3 decades working for Joe Biden. 3 decades. Who said, the Biden guy, who said Nancy Pelosi used the Awans as her spy ring in Congress. Now that's a big fact. That's a big fact. Now that's hearsay from me, I realize, but at least I'm not hiding my face behind a screen. And I'm not afraid to follow up and corroborate again in the open like we did with Taggart. Taggart comes in and says, oh, by the way, yeah, there were government marked Blackberries there. Yeah, they were Biden Blackberries. Again, I produced the Biden Blackberry twice. Once that night in front of JTTF in Alexandria. It could have been a plant, could have been a setup, but I produced it. It was pixelated. Another person decided to pixelate it, but then I produced it the next day unpixelated. And that was Gauntner. These are strong leads that you can pick up on. And now we have the proof in the Shokin documents by John Solomon that I was right about Dmitry Firtash. I was right about the Biden to Firtash communication. That's going to be your communication. Now, there is some documents coming out about the State Department, questionnaires about this going out to the State Department. And that may be a way to get to the bottom of this. But the first way is the social media way. Support the president, support the president's people, support the people taking risks to get you that information, to get you the whistleblowers. And the way to win this is with information. Go at the BlackBerry network, not through getting upset, not through violence of any kind.